This is going to be your weekly chakra energy tarot reading. If it's meant for you, it's meant for you. We're going to take a look at the energies you may be experiencing throughout your chakras. So in the comments, please let me know your zodiac sign and your word of the day. Now, as I'm filming this, it is quite dark out. It's looking like we're going to have a big downpour, and that doesn't surprise me because I think the emotions are running high and there's this need to let it out, to cry if you need to cry or say what you need to say. I actually can feel the air pressure building in my head right now. I don't want to manifest a headache, but I can feel it kind of coming on. You know, the pressure is rising, if that makes sense. We do have a full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. It's the blood moon happening next week. That will be Friday, March 14th. We are doing a full moon Zoom if you'd like to join us. The cost is $22. It's live on Zoom for 2 hours. We're going to be discussing the energies, and then included comes a mini personalized moon reading by the next new moon. So the link is in the description box below if you'd like to join us. After that, on March 15th, we are going to be having Mercury Retrograde. And so therefore be prepared for those glitches, you know, those miscommunications. And again, you can just feel everything gaining in momentum. Right now, Venus is retrograde, and this means reevaluation of relationships, of finances, of self-worth, then the eclipse, then Mercury retrograde, all together. That's why everybody's calling March just a cluster of energies coming at us. But again, it's transformative change, right? Okay, let's get into this. Enough talk, and let's get into the cards. We want peace. How many of you want peace right now, right? You want to feel at peace. No surprise. Okay, what else do we need to know about this energy? The sacred union. We want peace, we want partnership, and we want romance. How beautiful is that? Sacred union. By the way, look at the colors on these cards. I don't know if you noticed, but you know how I said it's kind of like dark and gray outside. This is the coloring. You know, there's some gray here. Even the font is pretty much the same color here. So there's definitely a color theme. You know, it almost feels like we are in a bit of the gray area, if that makes sense, where, you know, we're neither nor. It's a bit of hangman energy. We're trying to find our peace. We want the clarity that brings us peace. We want the clarity that brings us partnership and romance, right? And here we have say yes. Now is the time to be open and receive. Exactly. Whatever's coming our way, we have to be open to it. And I asked actually in a reading the other day for people to have an open heart and an open mind. And I encourage that again. So I'm going to ask you again to pledge in the comments to an open heart and to an open mind with all the energy that's coming your way, because you never know what it could bring. So let's take a look at the Chakra Wisdom Tarot. This has all the different colors of the chakras or energy centers in the body. We're going to take a card for each chakra and then clarify it. So in the root chakra, which is Mars, our drive, our foundation, there's the star, healing. Okay, so on the road to healing is what I'm going to say, because it's got to start somewhere, right? Okay, so let's get the oracle cards here. Anchor. You know, the anchor can be seen in two ways. It can be seen as stability. It can be seen as being stuck. And it fits the root chakra very well because the root is our foundation. We do want to anchor ourselves into new energy. So there's nothing wrong with that. At the same time, we do want to unstuck ourselves. And the only way to unstuck ourselves is to spark new energy. And with that, we have the biker. So the biker is encouraging us to break free and to be a lone wolf and to stand up for ourselves. It says on here, loves freedom. Don't you want freedom? Freedom from all the things that have been holding you back? Okay, let's take a look at the sacral chakra, which is Venus, self-worth, self-value, self-respect. Now, we did just talk about the fact that Venus is retrograde, and therefore there's a reevaluation of relationships and finances and self-worth. So let's see. Princess of Swords. Yeah, you might be reevaluating a relationship or trying to make decisions about your life. I mean, okay, that's a given. The reason I say that is because the Princess of Swords or Page of Swords can be a bit of spying or observing. Now, I have noticed that some people have been wanting to look backwards a little bit, maybe wanting to chase or observe or spy, whatever word you want to call it, energetically chase, for the sake of having another look over the shoulder to see whether or not there's another possibility or there's a chance, you know? And so you've got to be careful with that. I understand why people do it. I used to do it myself. We're all human. But I would say to you that you can visit the past, you can't live there. You've got to be aware of the fact that you're changing and you're growing. And the only way to grow and change is to go in a new direction, not go backwards. And there's the tower. See, here's the thing. You may have had a tower moment, or you are experiencing a tower moment, or you can feel it brewing, and that's okay. Tower moments are meant to shake you up and to shift things. Eclipse energy really is expect the unexpected. So anything can happen right now. If you're avoiding something, it's going to force you to look at whatever it is that you've been running away from. And there's the crystal ball. You're going to see things a lot more clearly. And you also got to use discernment. All right. Let's take a look at the solar plexus, which is the personal power. Well, we got a yellow card, and that's perfect because that is your personal power. Honestly, what makes you happy? In the comments, please tell me, what makes you happy? What is it about life that makes you happy? What do you think would make you happier? This is about your ultimate wish fulfillment. And the way to manifest all of that is to put yourself in situations that encourage it, right? Being in the past does not encourage you finding your ultimate happiness and change. And there's the moose. Interesting. I want you to be calm, cool, collected right now. I don't want you to be reactive. I understand there's a lot going on in this world, And my advice always is don't get involved in the arguments. Don't get involved in the divide. You cannot change the way other people think. You can only control you. The second you start fighting, the second you start getting into back and forths or conflicts with people, this is where things spread and they build anger and resentment. And there are just different ways to handle it. I'm not saying not to stand up. I'm saying be mindful of how you do it. Pick your battles wisely right now. And with that, see the worry beads. Worry puts us into self-preservation, and that's why if you're engaging in energy that is holding you back or feeding an old story, then it's hard to bring in new energy. So if you're worried about your happiness right now, then you have to look at the root of that as to why you feel worried about your happiness. Now, interesting, we have 2 9s here. 9 could be an angel number you're seeing. 9s are about solitude. They are about hermiting yourself. And they're also telling you that you're on the brink of change. Now, I just happen to notice on the bottom of the deck here, there's the 3 of Swords. Maybe this is a side message or side note. How many of you are feeling a broken heart right now? You're feeling sad and maybe you don't know why. But I should remind everybody that this worry, this fear, this anxiety is not going to help you. Calm, cool, collected is going to achieve what you want. But it almost feels like somebody is not sure about their happiness. Meaning you could be in this energy, calm, cool, collected, picking your battles, putting yourself in a position for growth. Or you could be in this worry, this anxiety, this fear that puts you in a corner like a wounded animal, and then unfortunately breeds more negativity. It's your choice, right? So let's take a look at the heart chakra, matters of the heart. And we have the 9 of Cups, ask and you shall receive. What do you want? There's the 9, 9, 9, 9. Interesting. Okay. Milky Way. Social media. Card of also feeling connected. Again, be very careful about any spying or observing that you're doing or energetic chasing, because this card can indicate that maybe you're checking someone's social media frequently or you're going back and forth with each other. And that also gets in the way of your manifestations, because what it does is it chases and it pushes what you're desiring away from you. If you want to feel connected, and that's a beautiful feeling, if you want to be connected, You've got to be connected in your heart space. You've got to ultimately believe in yourself. You are number one. You could be a person of water or have a water sign placement, as in like, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. And by the way, I did just post the last zodiac readings to my YouTube channel. So if you'd like to check those out, I would have a look. The water signs were pretty interesting, actually. They were very connected, which is funny because this card actually says emotionally connected. I think in order to manifest your deepest desires, you've got to be emotionally connected. You've got to believe in your heart that you're going to manifest the things that you want. Now let's take a look at the throat chakra. What's going on in your communication? Two of Wands, you've got to leave your comfort zone. You've got to speak differently than you usually do, listen differently than you usually do, because communication is not just speaking, right? It's listening. It's the way you engage with people. This could even be a card of travel. Yeah, communication. Communication. The birds. Again, I'll come back to what I just said about like fighting and arguing. You can debate somebody, sure, respectfully. You can pick your words wisely. On the flip side, this can indicate that somebody wants to communicate with you. This could be a text or a call, somebody popping up from your past, which is very likely because of Venus retrograde. I mean, Venus retrograde happens once every year and a half, every 2 years approximately. So this is when people do pop back up. And keep in mind, Mercury retrograde is known for this as well. But again, use discernment. Doesn't mean that people are coming correct. There's the bedroom card. Well, intimacy. Yeah, I mean, look, people are going to come in and test the waters. Hey, stranger. Hey, baby. This is what happens. So you've got to use discernment and maybe handle the situation a little bit differently than you would have in the past. Maybe that's the idea here of getting out of the comfort zone or out of the old ways. But it's up to you ultimately. It's about discernment. And let's take a look at the third eye, which is your intuition. The Lovers, very interesting. Deep soul connections, soulmates, twin flames, Gemini energy, decision and love. And look how we're getting up to sacred union here. But how do you get to a sacred union? This is the question people always ask, It's when you are in inner union, when you're feeling good about yourself, when the other person is feeling good about themselves. I heard a great quote by Matthew Hussey. I don't know if you've ever watched his videos, but this isn't verbatim, but very similar to what he said. And it was, you want somebody who's happy enough. Not everybody has to be fully healed. And I say that all the time. Not everybody has to be. It's about ambition. It's about how badly someone wants to get through the tough times, that they're experiencing personally, not just even in the relationship, personally. And then when two people are willing to come together, it's because they choose each other. And I think the sad part is a lot of us are waiting to be chosen, and we settle. We're waiting on somebody to change their mind, they're waiting on someone to decide, when in reality, this is not based on them searching their soul. It's you searching yours. And if the other person is on the same page with you and you two choose to have that sacred union, then it's a very powerful feeling. But when one person is not at the same level, or not willing to be ambitious, then it makes it very difficult to come together. So you have to ask yourself, where are the two of you on this journey, And here we have the hummingbird. You have to enjoy the present moment. You know what I've been talking about with a lot of people this week, actually, side note, multiple people. And that is, I'm never suggesting to lie, but I would say to you that be very selective in what you share about your past. You don't necessarily have to be an open book, because you don't want to perpetuate an old story of who you used to be. And I know this firsthand because I used to be such an open book in my dating life. I would always tell everything. I had nothing to hide, And then I started to recognize that maybe subconsciously the people that I was dating were seeing me in a different light. because of those old situations. I wasn't making enough boundaries, and I wasn't standing up for myself. And, ultimately, we're looking for people who are confident. I'd rather look at somebody for who they are now than who they used to be. Now, ultimately, yes, a past does matter to some degree, but just be mindful of how much you're sharing. You can share those things down the road once your relationship is more established. But in the early stages, just be very careful of everything that you share. Again, you're not here to lie, but be the person you are now, not a reinforcement of what used to be. And so with that, we have, see, this is my point, the pioneer. It's been a long road. It's been a long journey. And I recognize that you've done a lot of work on yourself, and that's amazing. And sometimes we want to share that. We want to show people how far we've come. We want to say, look, but I went through this, 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 and this. I mean, I can give you the laundry list. You know my list. I've repeated a million times for teaching purposes. I can explain to you how I had no boundaries. I can explain to you how my marriage fell apart. I can explain to you how I was sparked, on this spiritual journey. I can tell you how I changed my career. I can tell you how I went through grief and the lowest of low times in my life. But at the same time, I'd rather you see who I am right now. That's what matters, right? That's what they always say. It's not so much about the who, what, when, where, why, and how. It's where you're at. Now let's take a look at the crown chakra. These are the downloads of the information, your connection to source, and Seven of Swords. You know what I noticed, and I was going to say it earlier, it's kind of interesting how we've had this progression of colors. Like, I recognize we don't have two yellow cards here, but like, look at this, how we've had like two green, the yellow, the two orange, and then the purple. It's almost like a reinforcement. We started off with the heart, being heart centered, and then the belief, the guts to do something, and then the self-worth. And then ultimately, I mean, we can look at this as, our, I guess you could say it's a combination of like our third eye, and even the crown chakra. It's kind of interesting because the Seven of Swords is all about taking off the mask, authenticity, the truth being revealed. The moon. Look at the moon in the background. Yeah, the eclipse. It's the road to the eclipse. The moon is about revelations, clarity, purging, surrendering, letting go. Yeah, it's happening soon. It sure is. It sure is. Wow. Okay. Let's take a power of surrender card just to see what we need to surrender or surrender to here. Surrender frustration. Frustration doesn't open any doors. The key to resolving a dilemma or to solving a block is to take a breath, center yourself, and regroup so you may approach the situation more calmly. I think that we are on the road to peace and sacred union and receiving new energy. I really do. The question is, are you willing to take off the mask? Are you willing to transform? Are you willing to allow the healing process to continue? Because it's not an easy one. I'm not going to lie to you. It's tough. It requires strength every day. It means you're going to get triggered. And, normally I don't share comments that are left on my videos, but this one was interesting and I really appreciate it. It was somebody who wrote a comment saying that when they were watching me, a year ago, they were very triggered when I would say, okay, spark new energy, put yourself out there. This is what you need to do. And that they have gone through the process of trying to make changes, but yet seeing that things were staying the same and that my lessons were coming through loud and clear, all those months later. And it's not about being right. I don't have to be right. What it comes down to is that I know these things are going to trigger you, and I'm sorry if they do, but my advice and my words come from the heart because I want you to have the best of the best of the best. I know what it feels like to be in a position where it hurts and things aren't changing and there's frustration. And when we let go of the frustration or the stubbornness of, not letting go, we don't want to let go. We don't want to let go of a situation. We don't want to let go of a person. We don't want to let go of our comfort zone of what we know. And that's human. And I totally understand it. When your soul is ready, as this comment said, when your soul is ready, it will drive you in the right direction. And those lessons, as they said, will pop into their head and remind you of what you need to do. I'm just here to give you the thoughts, to give you the experience, to help you along the way. If you take it, great. If you don't, that's okay too. Everything has a way of working itself out. And I send you so much love. I'm here if you need me. If you'd like to do a personal reading with me, the link is in the description box below. Thank you very much, and I wish you an amazing day.